Oh, hello! If you're at this video, you probably need a little bit of a refresher on key presses, okay? So we've done a lot of work with color, but maybe you want other things to change using the key press functions. The way we're going to do that is first we're going to start by making a rectangle. So you should just put in a rectangle, and I know we always do a circle, but today we're doing a rectangle, and we're doing it 150, 150, 100. And just to give you a little bit of a review, that is the top left-hand corner at 150, 150, and has a width and height of 100. I guess that would make it a square. Whatever. The goal of this video is to show you how can I make this square actually bigger and smaller using the up and down arrows. Okay? So we want this to get bigger and smaller. So the first thing you got to say to yourself is, well, what do I need to make into a variable if I want to change something? We're going to change the size here, right? So if you look at these four numbers, which of these affect the size of the rectangle? Well, that would be the width, which is this third number, and the height. So these shouldn't be straight numbers, they should actually be variables. So let's make two variables. I'm going to make, let's say, let W for my width and let H for my height. All right, pretty common sense things. I'm going to initialize those in the setup. So I'm going to say W equals 100 and H equals 100. Why am I saying 100 and 100? Well, that's the numbers right here, right? That's my width and height. And then the third step is after I've initialized, we are going to replace. So I'm going to put my width and height. And nothing should change, it should look exactly the same. But what we've done now is we've made it possible that we could change the size of our rectangle. All right, so let's get into that now. So how can I actually start changing the width and height using keystrokes? Well, check it out. We're going to make an if statement, and we're going to say if key is pressed. Remember, that's the listener for whenever the key is pressed. Now, inside the key is pressed function is where we're going to say which specific keys we want. So we're going to say if the key is double equal to, well, to make it bigger, I'm going to use arrow up, okay? And this is where I can increase the width and height, all right? So I'm going to say W is equal to W plus 1. Remember, that's how I increase something. I increment it up by 1. So whenever I'm holding the arrow up, it's going to keep increasing the width by 1. And since a rectangle has a width and a height, we're going to make the height increase as well. Now, just to be clear here, if you guys are working with a circle, just know circles only have a diameter, right? So you won't need two variables. But since we're doing a rectangle, we're going to use a width and a height. If you were working with an ellipse, right, it would look something more like this. Ellipse, 100, 100, right? You'd have one variable there. Whatever. That's besides the point. So anyway, when I press the up arrow now, what should happen is it gets bigger. And if you notice, you can't actually see my hand, but I'm pressing the up arrow and it's getting bigger. Now, what if I want to get smaller again? Well, here's what we do. We're going to say if our key is double equal to down, arrow down. If I could spell, that would be great. Arrow down. And what we're going to do is the same idea. So we're going to say W equals W minus 1. So we're going to increment down by 1. And H equals H minus 1. Okay? So now we have arrow up and arrow down. So if I go up and I could go down, it's getting bigger and smaller. And I just want you guys to actually observe something that's a little bit interesting about this effect. It might freak you out. So I can make this bigger, but look what happens when I get smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. And it actually stops to the point where it gets so small that it's just done. But if you keep holding the down arrow, it'll actually get bigger again because it's in the negative realm. So it's like negative 100. But in the XY coordinate plane, negative 100 means still has a width in the opposite direction of 100. So you could be pressing the down arrow and it still gets smaller. So don't get freaked out if that happens to you. That's fine. That's just how it is. But anyway, the big thing here you should be taking away is that this is how we increment things or change things using key pressed. You have to make something a variable. Whatever you want to change, you have to make into a variable. And then don't forget about your key is pressed function. You have your outer function. So you have an if statement with a closing bracket. And then you put your more specific if statements inside of that if statement. Whoa, that's a mouthful. All right, that's it for this video. Actually, if you want to stick around, I'm going to show you something cool. You might be saying to yourself, well, once if I want to actually not do that weird thing where it flips over. And you can stop watching right now. This is for my real dorks. If you're a dork, you're watching after 425. Once if you want to just like stop at a certain point, you can actually run this thing called a P5 max function. So what we can do is this. Width is equal to the max between, let's see, whatever W is and 0. When we say H is equal to the max is equal to, let's see if this works first. Okay, actually, sorry, I want to do this for the downs. Okay, if you put it down, if you actually use these maximum functions, it says that the maximum that this will, you're set. Oh man, Mr. Schoenfeld just walked in and messed me up. Anyway, you can use these functions to actually limit it. Dorks, you can stop watching now. Just know that this will help you so your rectangle doesn't go into the negative realm. All right, that's it for this video, for real this time. This is your boy, Mr. Siegs, and Mr. Schoenfeld. We're out.